Every haunted place has a story with a dark past. This is Ghost Encounters Podcast. Welcome back, all you spooky people, to the Ghost Encounters Podcast. I am paranormal investigator Justin Torok.
And I'm Jordan, the group scientist.
I'm Hannah, your death-obsessed bestie.
We have a very special guest today. She's been on the podcast before. Please welcome Maggie Regal. Woo!
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Glad to be back.
Thanks for coming on. Last time, you and I were on together with Naomi Grossman from American Horror Story. That was cool.
That was really fun. Yeah, it was a long time ago, too.
She's an awesome person, and so, nice to be willing to come on the podcast and talk to us and everything. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And when we started talking, you were kind of in the beginning stages of your PhD program. Where are you now?
It's been a little while. Feels like a lot has happened since then. But I just finished my third year of my PhD program at Drexel University in Philadelphia. Last year, I passed my qualifying exams, which just means I am done with coursework, and they've deemed me worthy and smart enough to move on to my dissertation research. So right now, I am kind of in the throes of starting my dissertation research. I switched my topic recently, so I'm kind of having to start all over again. I was originally going to be writing my dissertation on American Horror Story, but for a plethora of reasons, I decided to change it. So now I'm going to be looking at memes, and specifically mimetic videos on TikTok, and emerging class consciousness among those memes, and specifically looking at the implosion of the Titan submersible as my case study.
I love that.
That is fantastic.
I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Yes.
no one's. I don't think anyone's ever done anything like that before. So this is really cool.
I feel like that's a Maggie thing.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that defines her.
Yeah.
Uniqueness.
Well, people have written about memes for their dissertation and whatnot, but TikTok is such an emerging topic in the field of communications. I didn't say this before, my program is in communication, culture, and media. So I do a lot with social media, and I'm just constantly fascinated by TikTok. And when the news of the Titan submersible, went missing last June.
It's hard not to laugh.
I didn't mean to fucking snort.
I thought you burped. I didn't know that was a snort. It's okay.
It is hard not to laugh, and this
disgust.
is partly why she's doing this, because it became such
Hilarious.
a thing.
Yeah. So I did, when this all happened back in June of 2023, I was glued to my phone. I was so fascinated by it, because just the amount of memes and videos that were coming out about these 5 billionaires being trapped in this little tuna can at the bottom of the ocean. Just people being so heartless and unsympathetic towards them. And then when we found out it imploded, just the memes were just chef's kiss. They were, It was so fascinating. And I'm I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I got to save all these videos for something. And so a couple months ago, I did a colloquium presentation down at Drexel about this, because I did a thematic analysis of the memes, looking at different different themes emerging among the memes, and people thought it was so good. They're like, why isn't she doing this for her dissertation? So I'm all right, here we go.
Say the joke that happened.
The beginning of my colloquium presentation, there were some technical difficulties. They set me up in a room that had 18th century AV hookups. And
shit.
No HDMI port.
No HDMI fucking port. Come on. And so we ended up switching rooms at the last minute. And at the end, one of my professors was like, "Oh, great job. You work really well under pressure." And I was like, "Yeah, unlike the Titan submersible."
Oh.
And I got that reaction too. I was a bunch of people were "Oh."
Fucking
The
God.
other half of the room laughed. I think my husband, who was in the audience, just sat there and shook his head. But I was very proud of that moment.
I would have been one of the people that would have been like, oh, shit.
I probably would have had tears in my eyes. My eyes.
Mic
I
drop.
would be laughing so hard.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing my dissertation on.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Well, the reason I invited you onto this podcast episode is because we are doing haunted hotels. And you recently have actually stayed at the Stanley Hotel, which we all know is the premise for Stephen King's The Shining. And you stayed in his room. You love Stephen King. Hannah, you are absolutely in love with Stephen King.
I'm a slut for the king.
Yes, you are. So I wanted to get your take on it, what it was like to stay there and all that. So we'll get into that. So how about we get started?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
On this episode, we check into some of the most haunted hotels in the world, where guests check in, but their spirits never check out. Join us as we traverse the chilling halls of the Stanley Hotel, whose eerie echoes inspired Stephen King's The Shining. Wander through the timeless floors of the Mizpah Hotel, haunted by the infamous Lady in Red, and tread lightly through the Marshall House, where the past is alive in every corner. These grand old establishments do not just host the living, for their guest lists are written in the whispers of the dead. Lock your doors, dim your lights, and prepare to uncover the secrets these haunted hotels guard behind their historic facades. This first place I heard about actually on a ghost tour in Savannah, Georgia when I was there. Now, I know I've said don't go on ghost tours. They are awful. This was not like the ghost tours that you see. I wasn't guided by a dude in a cape holding a lantern with a group of 20 people trying to do like a group investigation. It was literally like...
I want to be in the cape. I want to be in the cape tour host.
At least you didn't get a leather jacket. The guy that did my ghost tour was in this fucking ugly, like, tan, yellow leather jacket.
Yeah, they try to be like a character.
I was like, where did you find that? Like,
mine was a private tour with like 4 other people. It was a dude who lived in the area his whole life, and he was dressed in regular clothes, walking us around Savannah at night, telling us the history of these places and how they're haunted.
Cool.
And that's why I learned about this place, and I thought it was really cool. So when we decided to do haunted hotels, I was like, this is the place I'm doing. And it was named the number 2 best haunted hotel by USA Today on October in 2023. It is the Marshall House in Savannah, Georgia. The Marshall House is a grand hotel that stands as a testament to historical charm, but is steeped in the eerie echoes of its unsettling past. Built in 1851, this hotel has weathered the horrors of the Civil War and a devastating yellow fever epidemic, becoming a fertile ground for ghostly legends. The hotel's ghostly reputation began during the Civil War when it was repurposed as a Union hospital. In the winter of 1864, faced with the harsh realities of war and the ground too frozen to bury the amputated limbs of the soldiers, so the hospital's doctors made a very macabre decision. They hid the limbs beneath the floorboards
oh my god.
of the hotel.
Sorry.
I love that in the spot.
What are we going to do with all these legs?
Well, the ground was too frozen. They had limbs after limbs after limbs, arms, legs, everything.
You're not going to like burn them or something?
Well, do you remember?
Burn it for heat if it's too
We
cold.
talked about
Literally
something
anything
like
other
this
than-
before, where they ran out of places to put them, that they were just throwing them out the window. Like,
Yeah.
they were just throwing them out
Yeah.
the window of the building. I forget where that was, but we talked about
Was
it.
that the place we went in New Hope?
Oh, in New Hope. Same
You were
thing.
there for New Hope.
Yeah, they kept it. They kept him in the basement
Yeah.
because it was cold in the basement.
Yeah, so that you wouldn't get the smell because it wouldn't start rotting. So they had
Yeah,
hatches
they
in the
just,
floor
like-
where they'd throw body parts because only once a week they'd come by with a wagon to pick up the body parts or the bodies.
What, in the Sweeney
That's how
Todd?
much-
That's not the Sweeney Todd. It's not a hairdresser. Here's your freaking hospital.
That's how much shit is going on. Now, this gruesome secret would not be uncovered for over 100 years.
Holy moly.
There's no record of why they wouldn't be like, okay, these limbs were hidden. Hey, let's actually take them out of the floors now and bury them or dispose of them in some way. Nope, they stayed there.
What about the smell? What like?
They're just like, fuck it, we ball.
It was in the basement, so it's not like it was like every floor of the hotel had, limbs in it. It was in the basement. But during the renovations in 1999, workers found the human remains while replacing some of the damaged floorboards in the basement.
I'd be horrified.
The area quickly became a crime scene, but it was later discovered that the downstairs had once been the hospital's surgery room during the Civil War. Now, they did finally bury the body parts normally.
Good.
There's no word on where or like how many. Like I don't know how many feet and arms and stuff they found, but it was significant. The way the guy
It was significant,
Enough to
y'all.
worry about.
the way the guy explained it on the tour was that the space between the floor and the ceiling in the basement was not correct. It was like, why is there not enough space? Like it's your floor, your head's like almost at the ceiling. What's going on here?
Oh.
Right?
full of limbs.
So when it was basically like they dug up the floor, they just started throwing limbs and put the salt and dirt, whatever on it, more pile, like layers, a fucking limb lasagna, okay? And then the floorboards go back on.
Well, I don't think like basements back then had floorboards on the floor. Like, it was just, you think about basements, it's just like
So then what
dirt and concrete,
Yeah.
so they just probably put boards over
Someone
all the
didn't
time.
know
Yeah,
and
that's
just
true.
like finally put boards over it.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that's
most
true.
likely what happened. A lot-
Nobody's ever going to find out.
A lot of buildings in Savannah, you'll see that the front door into like even some shops, you actually step down, is because they didn't have air conditioning back then, right? So what do? They dug into the ground to keep the house or the building
yeah.
cool.
Cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But the history unearthed seems to have stirred more than just architectural interest. Since its reopening in 1999, the Marshall House has been a hotbed for paranormal activity. Guests report that faucets turn on and off by themselves, lights flicker without a cause, sudden overflows of toilets.
Is that really sudden though, or is that just like the guy upstairs
I don't
who
know.
blew it up?
They blew it up
know.
and they're like, it was the ghost!
It wasn't me.
I didn't shit my ass off.
The ghost
and-
left the floater! Disembodied voices echo through the halls. Particularly in notorious room 306, guests recount loud noises and chilling encounters in the dead of night. The fourth floor is especially active, echoing with sounds of the past. It's this floor that has a heavy, invisible force that is heard being dragged across the floor. Perhaps a body? Room...
Sack full of limbs.
It could be.
Yeah.
Room 414 is a room that has had the most sightings, and doorknobs wiggle as if someone unseen attempts to enter the room. The most chilling of these is the ghost of an amputee soldier seen wandering the lobby, sometimes in the hallways, still searching, perhaps for medical aid or lost parts of himself. The spirit is often seen with his missing arm in hand and is said to approach guests, his presence marked by a coldness in the air and a palpable sense of unresolved anguish.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah. Other paranormal experiences are reported by visitors, like the sounds of children playing in the hallways late at night, even when no children are checked into the hotel.
Nope. That's a hell no,
We
y'all.
encountered kids at the Perry house. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember. You told them to give me a hug.
Yep.
And I was like, why the fuck did I do this again?
I was going for my certification. I was like, I'm out. Y'all are going to be okay without me, right?
And you got your pants tugged by a kid in the basement of the Wooden Match.
The ghosts.
Yeah.
They were bullying me.
It always
They like you.
happens.
It just
Always
happens.
happens. It's never me.
Not good with living children, but
dead
good,
ones?
Good with dead ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Guests have also reported disturbances in specific rooms by, like I said, the televisions turning on and off, personal items being moved or hidden, sudden unexplained cold drafts. There's also the spirit of a woman believed to be the former caretaker of orphan boys from the early days of the house and is said to haunt the ladies' restroom, where the stall doors lock and unlock themselves. Her presence is often accompanied by the scent of cleaning products and fleeting sense of someone briskly walking by. The apparition of Mary Marshall herself has been seen still overseeing the hotel she founded long ago. Today, the Marshall House embraces its haunted reputation, offering guests not only a stay in a beautifully preserved piece of Savannah's history, but also a chance to encounter its more mysterious residents. It serves as a vivid reminder of the past that shapes and sometimes haunts our present. I do have a quote from someone who stayed here. She said, "I never got much sleep while we were there. I always felt very uneasy and utterly creeped out at night in my gut and could not rest. Did hear some strange noises in the hall late at night around 3 a.m. or so, what sounded like a hard rubber ball rolling along the hallway and bouncing. Also what sounded like a marble rolling and bouncing. Also very loud crash in the hall at like 3 a.m.-ish, almost like a body falling and hitting the floor, and no one was out there. Maybe it was one of the dead bodies, who knows? We also heard what sounded like walking around on the floor above us, but there's only roof. Also very unnerving feeling of being touched, in all caps, while in bed late at night, and I was completely awake, touched on the side of my lower leg / ankle and buttock area."
No, it's another butt grabbing.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
This made me nearly jump out of bed more than once. On the last night we stayed there, we noticed a strange smell in the room and bathroom that we could not find the source for. It was almost like burnt flesh smell combined with a light, sewery odor.
Oh.
We'd like to hear more from other people who have strange, otherworldly experiences at this location. So this is some random person who stayed there, and this is everything they experienced in just a couple nights.
Did she... How many stars did she give them? Did you
I don't remember.
fuck?
Sounds like a
she
paranormal
really
person
liked
dream.
it. Like she
It
was going
like
on
a
and saying
good
like,
review.
yeah, it's just she encountered ghosts while she was there, and she was touched in the ass and whatever. Yeah. So that is the Marshall House in Savannah, Georgia.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Freaking creepy.
I know, right? I love that story.
We stayed in St. Augustine. We did like a ghost tour. It was one of my favorite ghost tours. I was also a fucking infant. My parents, shame on you for making me go through that. I was the only kid in the family trip that went. And we stayed at like a little motel because we were only staying there a couple days. And we also had something like that where it sounded like somebody was like dragging their leg and stomping. So like they were like dragging. It seemed like they were dragging their leg.
Wounded soldier, maybe.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, like my cousin Eric. We were like, oh, Eric, it was you fucking asshole. You know, like whatever. And then we went down, and as we were checking out, they were kind of like, oh yeah, that's Peg Leg Pete. You know, everybody hears him. Everybody hears him. And I was like, yo, these people are kidding. They're kidding me. There's no way. And then now as I grow up, I'm like, well, probably could have been real. Probably could have happened.
And now here you are, going on investigations with me.
And being antagonized by the ghosts.
Yeah.
Every fucking time.
Yeah. Let's go to Maggie. Let's get started with the Stanley Hotel. Let's hear about the history and what goes on there. And I want to hear about your personal experience
I'm super
staying
excited.
in Stephen King's room.
Okay. Nestled in a quiet Colorado valley at the base of Rocky Mountain National Park, about 70 miles northeast of Denver, sits the 4-story historic Stanley Hotel overlooking the small town of Estes Park. The property spans 68 acres and includes 14 structures, including the main hotel, a concert hall, carriage house, manager's cottage, gatehouse, condominium units, and a small bed and breakfast. It's most popularly known as the inspiration behind Stephen King's The Shining and has been called one of the most haunted hotels in America.
Yes, I did not know it had that many structures.
Yeah,
crazy.
It obviously grew over time,
Yeah.
but now there's a lot on the property. So you can stay like the main hotel, but you can also stay in one of the condominiums.
Cool, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do they have the hedge maze?
They do have a hedge maze, but it's nothing like the movie. And if you guys remember, have you read the book,
Yeah.
The Shining?
No.
Okay, so you remember in the book that there was no hedge maze, it was hedge animals.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think it was like back in the 90s, the Stanley started growing a hedge maze out in the front of the hotel. And then I guess all the elk that were there just ate it. So they had to switch
Oh my
to a
gosh.
different type of like bush. I think that was like the juniper bush or something. And so it's not that high. It's maybe like 4 or 5 feet high.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't want people actually getting lost.
Yeah, it's not that big. We walked through it when we were there. It was just like, okay, it was definitely not as creepy as the one from the movie.
Right.
So
Cool.
okay, so the Stanley was opened in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, also known as F.O. Stanley. He and his identical twin brother, Francis Edgar Stanley, became wealthy through their invention of the Stanley steamer. So it's a car that ran on steam generated from a boiler that would vaporize gasoline. There's actually an original Stanley steamer in the lobby of the hotel, which
That's
is
cool.
Cool.
really cool. So, in 1903, F.O. Stanley was suffering from tuberculosis, which is a lung infection caused by bacteria that eventually destroys the lung over time. This is also known as consumption. His doctor suggested that F.O. head out to Colorado, where he believed the fresh mountain air could help, his patients that suffered from consumption. So F.O. was told he only had a few months to live, so he and his wife Flora made their way to Estes Park. While they were there, up in the fresh air, it really did the trick because he recovered from his death sentence and went to live another 37 years.
Oh,
Wow.
awesome.
Holy shit.
You don't hear that very often.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
All that fresh mountain air. And he loved it so much that he actually built a house there and eventually the infamous Stanley Hotel. Construction was started in 1907. It opened its doors on June 22nd, 1909. It was the first all-electric hotel powered by a hydroelectric plant that F.O. built on Fall River in Estes Park. Because of all of his investments in town, he helped to actually turn Estes Park into the popular tourist destination it is today. But because of the Great Depression in 1926, he sold the hotel and the power plant to a group of investors from Milwaukee. From then until 1974, the hotel changed owners many, many times. However, by that point, the hotel had fallen in such disarray that it was destined to be razed. So as Justin said earlier, I actually stayed at the hotel with my husband in October of last year. And we spent one night, we stayed for 2 nights. We spent the second night actually in room 217, which was where Stephen King stayed when he was at the hotel. So while we were there, we booked the Shining tour and learned all about the history and the haunts of the hotel, including the story about Stephen King. So on September 30th, 1974, he and his wife, Tabitha, were making their way through the Rocky Mountains to Grand Lake when a storm caused them to turn around. So they arrived at the Stanley Hotel seeking a room for the night. When they arrived, they learned that it was the last day of the season for the Stanley, so there was virtually no staff or other guests in the building. So the thing about the Stanley was that it did not actually have any heat. It would only get heat in 1984, so about 10 years later. So that's where they closed from October until May.
Right.
Kind of like the Overlook in the book that also would close during the wintertime, except the Stanley closed because it actually didn't have any heat.
Interesting.
So we didn't have to rotate the boiler.
Yep, they didn't have to have a caretaker or anything. So despite arriving on the last night of the seasons, they were able to check in, and they checked into room 217, and they ate dinner at the hotel's restaurant. After dinner, his wife, Tabitha, went up to the room, and Stephen King went down to the bar and sat drinking with the bartender for most of the night. What was the bartender's name? Lloyd Grady.
There you go.
Very cool.
Yeah. So in the book, Lloyd is the name of the bartender at the Overlook, and Grady is the last name of the previous caretaker.
He chopped up his
daughters, his family. So I thought that was really cool that he got the name from the actual bartender. But you can imagine staying there, in 1974 when it was super run down and cobwebs and peeling paint, and you're the only people there.
Creepy. Yeah. That takes a certain type of person.
So he sat drinking, at the bar for most of the night, and I think this obviously before he got sober, and he did have an addiction, substance abuse problem. And so later that night, he actually had a dream that would then go on to inspire him to write The Shining. And I have a quote, I think, from the jacket of the Shining book where he says, "That night, I dreamed of my 3-year-old son running through the corridors, looking back over his shoulder, eyes wide, screaming. He was being chased by a fire hose. I woke up with a tremendous jerk, sweating all over, within an inch of falling out of bed. I got up, lit a cigarette, sat in the chair looking out the windows at the Rockies, and by the time the cigarette was done, I had the bones of the book firmly set in my mind."
Poetry.
Wow.
Beautiful.
So now if you read the book, Hannah,
Hey,
you're the only one who
The token person to read. We
Yeah.
don't read.
It's so good. It's my favorite Stephen King book. I've read it 4 or 5 times. You'll remember that there were several times where Danny, the little boy, was he was imagining he was being chased by a fire hose through the halls of the Overlook, because back then, they didn't have fire extinguishers on the wall. They had fire hoses in the hallway. So that actually became part of the book. So while the Overlook in the book was heavily inspired by the Stanley, it's not actually where they filmed the 1980 Kubrick movie. The exterior of the Overlook was actually filmed at the Timberland Lodge in Mount Hood, Oregon, while the interior was filmed at a studio in London. In fact, when the movie came out in 1980, King told his fans to boycott the movie because of all of the creative liberties that Kubrick took with the movie, such as turning the hedge animals into a hedge mage and changing the room number from 217 to 237. And he did this because the people at the Timberland Lodge were worried that guests wouldn't want to stay in room 217. And because room 237 didn't exist, they ended up changing the room number to 237. It's actually the most popularly requested room of that hotel. And in 1997, there was a television series of The Shining that came out that was filmed at the Stanley, and Stephen King did write the screenplay for that one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I want to watch it.
I have the link for it. At the end of the Shining tour that we took at the hotel, they actually send us a link where you can watch it for free.
That's awesome.
It's really not... Sorry, Stephen King. It's really not that good.
Oh, really?
I mean, compared to, the Kubrick movie is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I know Kubrick was an asshole, but, that whole fucking movie was a masterpiece. And so, nothing can ever compare to that. But the television series did stick really close to the book, so it's worth watching.
Weird connection. That's not really connection, but the new Twisters is out. And remember the original Twister movie? They were watching The Shining.
Yes, yes. The drive-in.
The drive-in as the Twister ate up the screen.
Yeah.
Like that's when he was doing Here's Johnny.
Yeah, and it's just at the part where the tornado came and just took the screen down.
Yeah,
It's so epic.
That movie used to scare the fuck out of me, and that was about real shit. Like, that was about, like, freaking twisters and fucking, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna go to Florida and get swept away. And, oh my god.
I don't like natural disasters.
That was when my anxiety started, because my damn cousins made me watch that shit, and they're like, every time the sky turns green, look out. And then every time a light would go green and light up the sky, I'm like, we gotta take cover! Like, oh my god, I was so traumatized.
So speaking of room 217, Stephen King wasn't the first to report something eerie about that room. In 1911, there was a gas leak from a gas lantern, and the room exploded when the head chamber...
Holy shit.
Sorry.
So I guess the story is that there was a storm, the power went out, and so they ended up lighting gas lanterns in all the room. However, in room 217, there was gas leaking from the lantern, and it exploded when the head chambermaid, Elizabeth Wilson, entered the room with a lit candle.
Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
She actually survived.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
Damn.
good for you, girl.
And after waking up from a coma, she returned to work to the hotel until 1950. So
good for
That's
you,
a baddie.
girl.
all
All right,
right.
fuck you. I'm getting workers' comp. I'm suing.
I think F.O. Stanley did compensate her very, very well.
Okay, good.
After that, I remember the tour guide saying. So according to some hotel staff, her spirit is said to still inhabit the room, and that she's more friendly of a ghost than scary. Most often, tidying up the room. However, it is said that if you're an unmarried couple and stay in the room, you're more likely to experience a more chilly presence than yeah. So
She's stuck in her ways.
exactly. And you're gonna love this story. So we also learned from the tour guide that when they were filming Dumb and Dumber there in 1994, Jim Carrey requested to stay in room 217.
That's
Of
right.
course.
Yeah.
Of course
So if
he
you
did.
remember, the scene where they pull up in their sports cars and he's passing out the
There you
bill.
go.
There you go. There you go. That's in front of the Stanley Hotel, and then the scene where he's sitting in the bar at 10 a.m. waiting for Mary. That's actually the hotel bar in the Cascade restaurant.
Cool.
We actually saw the
moon landing.
the moon landing.
News article.
Yeah. I believe the first night I had a couple drinks and I was like, we landed on the moon as we were walking out. So
That's awesome.
so anyway, he asked to stay in room 217. At some point, he ended up running downstairs to the lobby in his boxer shorts and demanded his money back from the hotel, saying he wouldn't be staying there that night. He ended up staying at some cheap Holiday Inn in Estes Park instead. He never talked about what he saw in that room, and when he's been asked about it in interviews, he would just get up and leave the interview altogether. So nobody knows what he saw,
what happened.
if he was just, bullshitting, but apparently he was very serious.
Yeah, I don't
about
think
it.
he was. I mean, he's a great comedian, but he's not the one to just storm out in public in his underwear, in his unders.
I mean,
And
I wouldn't be
Depends.
surprised.
he's in a luxurious place. I feel like he wouldn't just stay in a crappy
He's committed
motel.
maybe he's committed to the bit.
I
man.
guess, but
Really committed
I
to
don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he did it either.
I think he
It's
actually
fine.
saw something.
Yeah.
unfortunately, when we stayed there, I did not have any paranormal experiences in the room. We did end up watching The Shining that evening, the 1980 Stanley Kubrick movie. And I honestly got so freaked out that I had to turn it off halfway through. Yeah, and I was like, why did I do this? Why do I do this to myself? I also wouldn't go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I just held my pee all night because I was afraid of walking into the bathroom and seeing Mrs. Macy in the bathtub. So yeah, we didn't see anything. We didn't experience anything, but it was still really cool staying in that actual room. I mean, the room had been redone since Stephen King stayed in it. But still, it was a really cool experience.
I'm sure.
And,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you have to book it way in advance. I believe my husband booked it over a year in advance.
Wow. I see you still have the room key.
Yes, I do. I
Cool.
saved it. I dug it out.
Nice.
So I think I do actually still have the key card somewhere, but I don't know. It's
Very fucking cool.
Um,
Fucking cool.
But the night before, we actually stayed on the 4th floor of the hotel. I don't remember the room number. I was searching for it. I was like digging through all of my shit, going through my emails. I called the hotel.
Oh my
and I was like,
God.
this is a weird question. Like, we stayed there last year. Could you tell us what room we stayed in? And then the reservation was like, actually, we just got a new reservation system. And like,
course,
none of
that's
the
how it
old
goes.
reservations switched over. I was like, okay, whatever. But I remember where it was. It was one of the last rooms all the way at the end of the floor in the northeast corner. So the hotel faces south, and so we were like all the way in the back east corner. And the 4th floor is where most of the supposed haunted activity has taken place. It was originally just an attic for storage during the winter months when the hotel was closed, but then it was used as in-house lodging for female employees and their kids. Which makes sense, as many guests report hearing children running through the halls and children's laughter late into the night.
All these hotels and hearing kids running in the halls and stuff.
Negative. There's something about the kid ghosts. Like I said, every time we talk about kid ghosts, they fucking freak me out, kids.
Yep.
You're gonna love this.
Ah, fuck.
Room 418 is known for ghost children doing mischievous things, such as turning bathroom lights on and off on their own. There was a 4-year-old girl staying in that room one night with her mother a few years ago, and in the morning she told her mom that a little boy had been tickling her feet in the middle of the night.
Oh, heavens, no.
Apparently she told the little boy to stop, and he did stop, but still, like, something's tickling my feet, like, I'm running down the lobby in my skivvies like Jim Carrey. In room 428, a ghost cowboy is known to frequent the room, and multiple guests have seen him standing over their bed as they sleep.
Oh.
Thank you.
Locals believe this to be the spirit of James Nugent, also known as Rocky Mountain Jim.
God damn it.
I love how you added a twang to it. Oh my god. Rocky Mountain
Rocky
Jim.
Mountain Jim. Don't worry, it's just Rocky Mountain Jim.
One word.
Oh my god. It was like, I wouldn't have gotten through with that without adding an accent. Like, it had to happen.
Yeah.
So apparently he found it much of Estes Park, and while he didn't die in the hotel, as the story goes, his spirit gravitates to the female guests and sometimes gives them a ghostly kiss while they sleep.
Oh.
No, thank you.
Guests also experience rearranged furniture and sounds coming from above despite being on the top floor.
Sounds familiar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another haunted room on the 4th floor includes room 401, where the ghost of Lord Dunraven is believed to haunt. Women in the room have felt their hair being played with, an arm around their shoulder or waist, or a hand moving up the back of their leg.
Nope.
Frisky
Yeah.
Lord Dunraven.
Yeah.
Room 407, guests have reported being tucked in. A little boy staying there said he kept kicking off his covers one night, and they kept coming back up on their own.
Ugh.
And lastly, in room 413, guests have reported seeing a man dressed in old-fashioned clothes standing in the corner of the room. Now, that night that we stayed in that room, okay, let me just start off with, I'm kind of a skeptic. I've never had any, like, in-my-face paranormal experiences. And so the night that we stayed on the 4th floor, I woke up in the middle of the night and I kept feeling like a pain right smack dab in the middle of my palm. And, you know, I would clench my hand, open and shut a couple times to, like, work it out. Maybe it was like a knot or something, but I never experienced that before. But then I started experiencing it in my other hand. So it was very odd. Again, I don't know what that could mean. I don't usually wake up with pain in my hand. I don't have carpal tunnel or anything. So that was just a weird experience that I had.
Someone was poking you.
Maybe. So other ghost stories include a French cook who was killed in one of the underground tunnels that collapsed on him. So the Stanley had a network of underground tunnels that the staff used to move between key areas without being seen by guests. So kind of like the Magic Kingdom, that they have tunnels underneath the Magic Kingdom in Disney World. So
Or
that
Penhurst.
Penhurst, yep.
Yeah.
It's for the bodies.
So a lot of
Disney
them.
bodies.
Wait.
Bodies at Disney World. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
Mickey Mouse can,
Scuttle along.
scuttle along from one end of the park to the other. Fuckers. So yeah, a lot of those tunnels are closed off now, but there have been experiences of unexplainable smells of baked good reported in the tunnels that are still open. And you can actually take tours of the tunnels.
Cool.
Unfortunately, we didn't do that because we were there for 2 days. But yeah, you can take a tour of the tunnels. There's also a pet cemetery, which I know you guys talked about on a previous podcast, where several of the old owners' pets have been buried, including Cassie, the golden retriever. Guests have reported hearing Cassie pawing at the doors, eager to deliver the morning newspaper.
I would cry, honestly.
Right? See, ghost pets are even sadder to me than ghost children.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, because, okay, so a human ghost child can at least summon the, I don't know, whatever it needs to be angry, but I don't think a dog can do that.
No.
You know?
Especially if they just want to deliver the morning newspaper.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
he's just doing his little thing.
Oh, and this was something I did not learn about until recently when I was doing some more research on the hotel, that mediums refer to the hotel's main staircase as the vortex.
Ooh.
It's believed to be a paranormal portal of spiritual energy. Orbs have been caught on camera here, and guests report cold spots and feeling dizzy on the stairs as though something has just walked right through them. So I do remember when we were there and we were going to check in to room 217, and you can actually reach the second floor through the grand staircase. And I remember going up the stairs and feeling very, very lightheaded, but that could have also just been because the Stanley is also 7,500 feet above sea level.
True.
And
Altitude sickness.
yeah,
And stuff, yeah.
I had had a couple drinks before that.
Oh well, that'll do it.
So yeah, that's the Stanley, and those were my experiences with it. So
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, thanks for doing all that research, and thanks for sharing about what
absolutely.
you encountered and, what it was like to stay there, and
Thanks for having
the
me.
little tips and tricks. Well, you're staying on. We're not going away. We are going to take a quick break. I'm going to go and reserve the entire 4th floor of the Stanley Hotel, and we will be right back. This episode is brought to you by The Colony Meadery. If you haven't tried mead yet, it's alcohol made for money. It's all natural, totally gluten-free, and delicious. Colony Meadery is one of the best meaderies in the world, and it's located in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley. Stop in and try a flight of meads, grab some bottles or cans to go, and experience some of the best booze in the world. They have flavors ranging from tart and quaffable lemon laws and Wu-Tang Cran to sweet cinnamon and vanilla series of tubes, and even sweet heat with their mango habanero. Learn more at colonymeadery.com. Ghost Encounters is sponsored by Phoenix Fire Media. Elevate your business with their digital marketing strategies, including their multi-award-winning social media marketing, photography, and video production. Phoenix Fire Media, igniting success through creative excellence. Visit phoenixfiremedia.com. If you're enjoying the Ghost Encounters podcast, hit subscribe and give us 5 stars. To watch full episodes of the Ghost Encounters show, visit ghost-encounters.com. And don't forget, when you're on our website, click on The Spooky Shop for all your Ghost Encounters spooky swag. To stay up to date with Ghost Encounters, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Ghost Encounters PA. To send spooky fan stories, email GhostEncountersStories@gmail.com or message us on social. Do you want ad-free episodes of Ghost Encounters podcast, plus bonus episodes, extra content, and much more? Then you should head to Patreon and be a spooky VIP. Go to patreon.com/Ghost Encounters podcast and be haunted from all the benefits with the spooky VIP membership. And we are back. Jordan, I'm very excited because you've been talking about this place for a very long time. You've been dying for haunted hotels so you can talk about this place. Jordan, check us into the Mizpah Hotel.
So the Mizpah Hotel is in Tonopah, Nevada. It was named after the Mizpah mine because actually underneath the hotel there is like 525 miles of like mines.
Damn.
Of mine work, mine shafts and everything. So the whole town basically is built on top of a mine shaft.
That shit just waiting to cave in.
Which is terrifying. Which is absolutely fucking terrifying. So the Mizpah mine, and it was like a social hub of its time back in the day. The hotel was a hotspot of celebrities and wealthy investors during the silver boom in Tonopah. It was one of the first luxury hotels in the state. These days, it's a mix of modern and antique work. It's considered one of America's most haunted lodgings. I think I have it written somewhere in my notes, but it was ranked like #1 for a couple years. As like one of the most haunted. I want to say it was like 2022 it was like 7th, but at one point it was number 1.
Yeah, put that on a plaque, stick it in the lobby.
Exactly.
And you're Gucci, baby.
So yeah, I said it was built over all these mine shafts and everything like that, and the hotel is one of the area's oldest structures and was predated by the Mizpah Saloon, which was opened in 1907. The hotel was financed by George Wingfield, Carl Broger, George Nixon, and Bob Govin. I hope I said all their names right. At the time, where Nevada's most well-known, they were the most famous people with money, let's just say. They were just like financing shit left and right, because this wasn't the only place that they took over and rebuilt and blah, 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 blah. They made all of these different places. The hotel was actually designed by George Holsworth of Reno. Their names are so bougie. Like, they have, like, nice old white men names.
George Nixon, George Wingfield, George Howard. Lots of Georges.
Yeah. George, you sound like the lady from Harry Potter when you say their names. Like, Ron Weasley!
And now my ears are bleeding because I have the headphones.
I saw Justin go like, oh,
Sorry.
What?
Rip.
He's deaf now. The neighboring block served as the first Mizpah Hotel, and they still remain connected. The two buildings are joined by a wooden stairway, which I thought was really cool. And the hotel was even the location of the first elevator in Tonopah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Classy.
And that bitch still is like a phantom. It runs by itself. So creepy.
Lovely.
The Mizpah changed hands a few times throughout the years until Frank Scott of Las Vegas purchased it in 1979. He updated the hotel to include modern advances. I'm not sure. They didn't really specify what kind of advances. I'm assuming they just wanted it to be updated to the modern tech.
Plumbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was made when you said it was, like,
Yeah.
like Hannah said, plumbing, good
Air
electricity.
Air conditioning, probably, yeah. But he also wanted to preserve the old-fashioned romance that first drew him and his guests to the hotel in the first place. The hotel's renovation costed $4 million, and the work took 2.5 years to complete. Since 1999, the hotel was shut down and quiet with only the spirits lingering. In early 2011, the hotel was purchased by Fred and Nancy Klein of Klein Cellars in Sonoma, California. I've never been to California. I heard it's a beautiful place. I know we have a lot of fans from California, so shout out to you guys.
Yeah, we do. We had a fan story from California.
Yeah.
Hello.
They renovated and reopened the building to the public in August of that same year. The hotel now has 47 rooms, a bar, and 2 restaurants. There are apparently plans to add a casino in the property, or to the property, around the property, which is awesome. These days, the hotel hosts guests from all over the area visiting. I know that they said like people from the area tend to like just go to this hotel. Like in a bunch of these podcasts I listen to, they like to just like people will be like, yeah, I live like 20 minutes down the road, but we just wanted to go check out the Mizpah. And I'm like, cool. Like,
ass, man.
I mean, is that kind of like our Hotel Bethlehem? Like,
Yeah,
you know, like where
probably,
we just go.
you know.
Or a cocktail
Yeah,
at the
just-
Mizpah.
Yeah.
Just
Is that
going
something
in.
people do? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of them, but apparently people do that. Also, ghost hunters go there to experience the strangeness of the Clown Motel and the Tonopah Cemetery.
Run the clown motel thing.
I
by
know
me
that it
again.
sounds
That's
weird,
good.
but it actually exists. It's
I've
like,
never fucking heard of this
if you
before.
Google the Clown Motel, it literally comes up, world famous Clown Motel.
It's creepy as shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It is creepy.
How far away is it from
Spooky.
Mizpah?
it's 2 minutes.
It's like right there.
It's right there. Like, you could fucking spit and you're there.
Where are we putting the creepy clown motel? Oh, 2 minutes from one of the most haunted hotels in the world.
Yeah,
Okay.
Great idea.
We'll get the overflow.
It's where all the bougie guests of the Mizpah go to bang prostitutes dressed as
Yeah,
clowns.
I was just going to say, it has to be something kinky like that.
Do other things squeak other than their nose?
Oh my goodness gracious. According to USA Today's 10 Best Reader's Choice Awards, the Mizpah Hotel is the nation's #1 haunted hotel. The building is rumored to be filled with ghosts, and strange occurrences have been rumored since the building's beginning. One especially horrifying story is of U.S. Senator Key Pittman. He died of a heart attack in his room inside of the hotel in 1940. The law at the time stated that the party, like Democrat or Republican, would choose the replacement for him if he were to die before the election. And if he were to die after the election, the governor would select a replacement for him. Well, at this time, according to this source, the mafia owned the governor.
Oh my
not
God.
the party. So they kept the senator on ice in one of the hotel's bathtubs
In the bathtub.
until after the election, so that the mafia had been able to pick who they wanted to be the next, like his replacement.
Wild.
Yeah, bust. Like, what the fuck? I mean, it was smart.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta
mean-
do when you're the fucking mafia. It's like,
Mafia was scary. They had their shit together a little
they
bit.
make their own fucking rules.
I just still
Yeah.
can't believe his body was just left in a hotel bathtub on ice.
Yeah,
Must have took a lot of ice too, because if that's 1940 and
like the tub ain't
in the
big.
Southwest,
fucking
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
damn.
The kind of the amount of ice that only being in the mafia can apply to
Seriously.
in 1940s Nevada.
One spirit reported at the Mizpah Hotel is that of the Lady in Red. Other sources have named her Rose. I didn't know she had a name. Like in most of the stuff that I hear, it's just the Lady in Red. But she was a murdered prostitute, unfortunately.
Of course.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how it goes.
Guests report her presence after items mysteriously move. Rose was a high-class lady of the night that lived on the top floor, which was the 5th floor of the Mizpah. Now, how she died varies from source to source. One being that she was strangled by a jealous customer that turned lover and wanted her to stop her line of
Of
work.
course.
She refused and sadly met her fate in the same room that guests can now book and spend a night in. Another reports that her husband missed his train and caught her sleeping with another man, and in a jealous rage, he stabbed her to death. I also read that there is still a stain in the carpet at the Mizpah, the location where she died. Like, they said that it, like, randomly appeared one day. You know, like they always do.
Like they can't
And
get
they
rid
can't
of it.
get- yeah, they
Right.
can't get
like
rid of
the
it.
handprints on the mirror.
Because
Yeah,
if they try to
yeah.
get rid of it, it comes back type, you
Yeah.
know. There is also a nameless soldier who is reported to haunt the 3rd and 4th floors of the hotel. Since his name is unknown, all that they know is that he died there. They don't really know much else.
Oh, damn.
And people see him all the time. There's also a pair of ghostly children that haunt the 3rd floor.
What's with all the ghost
course.
children?
Peace out. I don't need to be on the 3rd floor. They're known to play pranks on the guests, and they're most often seen in hotel rooms and in hallways. Multiple guests have reported hearing giggling and hearing their doors open and close on their own. I would be bugging if I was out in the hallway walking to go get your fucking ice or whatever you do at hotels.
Mm-hmm.
And
For the mob.
yeah, for the bucket
for
of
the
dead
mob,
bodies
for the
that I
guys.
have. Yeah. For the
Sorry.
tub of dead bodies, I mean, yeah. And a door would just shut, I would literally cave. I would be spiraling.
Or if you're in your own room and the door opens and shuts.
Yeah, what happens
It'd
if
be
you
a really good idea if by the time I turn 40 and I have a toddler and could bring them to the Stanley for my 40th birthday party, which we've already established is going to happen at the Stanley, and we're all going to
40th on the 4th floor.
Yep, we're
40th.
gonna all stay on the 4th floor. I'm just gonna give them a bunch of sugar and let them run up and down the halls at midnight, laughing and knocking on doors, and then just bring them back inside. real
Knowing
quick.
you take it a step further and actually dress them up and paint them and make
And
them
then I would
dress them up in the little girl shining dresses.
Oh, there you go.
and then I would come out and be like, what the fuck going on? And then I would just see these scary ass fucking kids spiral. Jordan's clock. I think I would faint.
Forever and ever
And ever.
and ever.
There are also 2 bank robbers who were murdered during a heist by their co-conspirator. Their ghosts are said to haunt the basement, giving cold chills and strange sensations to visitors and staff who happen to find themselves there.
There's a lot of ghosts here.
This story also has a variation, though, that there were 2 miners that were found murdered under the hotel from stealing the money from the vault that's still there at the Mizpah. You can go into this vault. The killer was obviously never found. They just murdered people in the basement.
There you go.
So like I said before, these haunts are literally 2 minutes away from the Mizpah. There is a cemetery that's pretty popular and the Clown Motel. There's even a so-called curse that sits over Tonopah. The curse of Tonopah started with the Tonopah Belmont mine fire. On February 23rd, 1911, the mine fire killed 17 miners.
Damn.
Which sucks because, we're about to get
Yeah.
into it, but it's
Yeah,
it could have been prevented. The fire started around 5:50 a.m. They noticed the fire burning some timber that they piled near the bottom of the mine shaft. A small lit candle was thought to be the blame for this fire. When it was first discovered, the superintendent of that time told everyone to ignore it and go to work since the fire was in a separate location, as if they thought that they could contain it or something. Most of the miners kind of protested. They were like, oh, hell no, I don't want to die down there. But the threat of being fired was enough to push them to go deeper into the mines that day.
Fuck.
Yeah. After a few hours, the superintendent noticed that the flames were spreading quickly, and the men were told to withdraw. Like, they were like, get everybody out of there except the people that are fighting these fires. Men were scattered all over the place, untrained, and disobeyed orders. This resulted in many of them being trapped within the mine. Due to the mine's setup, a reversal of air currents through the mine spread the blaze faster than the miners were able to escape. So 14 of these men that died are now buried at the famous Tonopah Cemetery.
Ooh.
Don't ask me where the other ones are. I have no idea.
Shipped them home.
Yeah.
Put them in the bathtub.
Put them in the bathtub. They're at the Mizpah now.
Oh.
Visitors to the cemetery report seeing strange orbs and disembodied voices, but the motel next door is the real haunted hotspot. Named America's Scariest Motel, the Clown Motel is built a stone throw away from the old graveyard.
It's just
Yeah, it's
why?
insane, yeah.
What? Just, I have so many questions.
Someone made a choice.
Yeah.
Somebody made a choice that compounded upon another choice and another choice, and eventually the fucking place was full of clowns.
Unhinged. I heard that the children of a man created this idea to, like, honor their dead father. I'm not sure how factual that really is, but that's something that I stumbled upon while
Just
looking around at this scary ass hotel.
I feel like that's like a posthumous roast. Like, Dad was such a fucking clown.
Yeah, like, what if that's really
Maybe
why?
he had a
like,
clown fetish.
That's what I was thinking.
He's there,
like,
he's hiring the clown.
there's so many options. The Clown Motel has a mass amount of glassy-eyed circus clowns.
No.
Its owners swearing to guests who stumble in that it's a fun and safe place to rest for the night.
Yeah.
Look up pictures. It's fucking weird and fucking freaky. Like, it doesn't look very inviting.
I would not get sleep.
Yeah, I would be like
There
constantly
are clown
staring
faces
at them.
looking at you everywhere.
It's too much.
Visitors to the Clown Motel swear that it's haunted, though. Legend states that the clown statues act as vessels for the minor ghosts.
Oh,
That's scary. They possess the dolls and come to life.
Oh, fuck.
Apparitions have been seen walking to and from the graveyard, and disembodied voices have been heard saying, "We mind," and "We died that day." That's freaking scary. When one of the previous owners attempted to contact the spirit that's located at the motel, he froze and promptly vanished. That would freak me out. Even more, clowns themselves have been seen leaving the cemetery, balloons and all, which cracks me the fuck up. Like, I know I keep talking about that, but like, if I saw like somebody that's like obviously not like ghostly looking and like spirit like, and they're just standing out there with this balloon, like, it reminds me of when they had that clown.
Oh my
shit
God.
happened just recently.
That was like 2016.
Yeah,
The year
where they
that
had them like chasing at cars and everything. Like, I feel like that would be the vibe that I would get if I just saw some dude out there with a fucking balloon. Either way, Tonopah seems like a wild place to go visit and also insane for paranormal freaks like us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Because clearly you could go to 3 different places in one night. See a variety of strangeness.
Well, we haven't had ghost clowns before in the investigation, so...
I didn't know that it was right there. So
yeah, I didn't know it was right that close.
Yeah, when I was looking at like tours, like the haunted tours in the area, it was like, go see the Clown Motel. And I was like, what?
The what?
I was like, what?
The what?
And then I looked up and I literally typed in Google Maps. I was like, Mizpah to Clown Motel. And it literally says, 2 minutes. You can walk. I'm like, oh, okay. Dope.
Oh, God.
That's fucking wild. Hannah.
Okay.
Where are we checking into next?
All right. So this story is going to be very similar to the Mizpah Hotel because I just fucking read shit. I was actually looking up stuff to do. I'm not going to lie to you. I picked this last night. I picked this last night. I did this last night, and I went through I Googled a big list of haunted hotels, and the first one that showed up, I don't know if it was a proximity thing, but it was Hotel Bethlehem, do Hotel Bethlehem.
Of course, yeah, right.
And I was like, I'm gonna not fucking do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do oh, this is the local one, I talked about the Easton Public Library.
Yeah.
Got a mass grave in the parking lot. But I didn't want to do that again, so I picked the Clinkscale Hotel Bar and Grill.
You always pick something I've never heard of, and I love it.
Yeah.
I like to learn about the weird shit.
Yep.
I wanna know. There's other shit than the fucking Lehigh Valley.
Let's
she
do it.
literally
All
wrote the
right.
name in, and she's like, I wanted to do a short one, so then I was like, never heard of it. Can't wait to learn about this place on the dock.
And I read that as I was gonna go and like type my shit in, and I was like, Jordan gave a shit about the thing. I was in my feelings. But for the Clinkscale Bar and Grill Hotel, for the Clinkscale Hotel Bar and Grill, I'm going to start with the modern. In 2024, the Clinkscale is still an open, operational, and arguably thriving hotel, bar, grill, business, etc.
Cool.
Where is it at?
It is in Jerome, Arizona.
Okay.
Yes. So it is the opposite of local. It was purchased and redecorated in 2020 during COVID, and in 2022 reopened to much acclaim. We love a success story.
Yeah.
My inner Gordon Ramsay then comes out because like the third thing I did was go to Yelp and start reading reviews. And you will all be pleased or neutral to know that the Clinkscale has a 4.9 out of 5 rating.
Damn, that's great.
I was impressed. Because I feel like, okay, most of the crappy places I go for food all suck, and I'm very disappointed. And maybe I'm just an asshole, but like, I don't know. I just want some decent fucking food. There was this one review, though, where this woman had like a really wild experience where she goes to the hotel with her family, and they all eat dinner, and they're all like sharing food and having the same stuff, and she suddenly starts to get like faint and sick and just goes completely white, and really no concrete explanation because everybody would assume food poisoning, but nobody else got sick.
Right.
Wow.
And she's local, so it wouldn't have been like an altitude thing, which is apparently like high up. I don't know. Apparently visitors get altitude sickness all the time. I don't know shit about Arizona. But there was really no explanation for it. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe it was paranormal. You know?
Maybe.
When in doubt.
Yeah. When in doubt, it's the fucking ghosts. But I kind of fell into a Yelp review reading K-hole. And I had to drag myself out and get the rest of my shit done. Because I wanted to know, like, did anybody else have an experience like this? But really it was just people bitching about, like, ATM surcharges and shit, so I got out of there. The original building, if you find yourself in Jerome, Arizona, you should definitely check out the Clinkscale because the food, the ambiance, and the ghosts are apparently all top-notch. The Clinkscale Hotel original was built in 1899 by a Mr. Clinksdale, which was very confusing when I realized, because I had started typing out his name is Clinkscale, and I'm like, that explains why this is such a weird fucking word.
Yeah.
But his name was Clinksdale, and I had to go back and change a bunch of things because I fucked it up.
Honest mistake.
Yeah, because that's weird. 10 years before it was built, in 1899, most of the city of Jerome had been completely fucking leveled in this massive catastrophic fire. The fire almost completely destroyed Main Street, and the Clinksdale building was built on top of the foundation of one of these burned out buildings. It was originally called the Clinksdale building after the man who built it, and it was changed later on for reasons that I could not find.
It's like close,
but
it's not the same.
It's a weird one.
Like, I wonder if they just put, like, scale in it because they, like, wanted to make it an upscale place. So they, like, kind of wanted to pun it a little bit. Like,
Could be. It is rumored that in order to be more fireproof, the walls of the Clinkscale were designed and built to be 18 inches thick.
Hashtag that's what she said.
That's
oh
what
my
somebody
gosh.
said.
He thick. That's a thick ass wall.
Damn, boy! You sound just like the video! Oh my god!
I yelled that again into the microphone. I apologize for your ears.
Justin's gonna have to.
Oh.
Thick. Oh.
I just think about that big fat lab in the hill. Like, damn, boy, he's thick!
Boy.
So
We've went through so many deaths and fire. We can't take anything seriously.
No, we can't. Sometimes we
It's
have a really
great.
serious fucking episode, and we're all bummed out and have to go home.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't even say my bit at the end of the freaking one that we did. I was so
Yeah, the
depressed.
mental asylum.
Even my dad was like, "What the hell happened to you during the episode?" I was like, "I just checked the fuck
Yeah,
out.
we-
I checked out."
That was one we were very serious in.
Yes.
Yeah, we were sad.
Yeah. Anyway,
This
18-inch
this
thick
one
walls.
isn't that sad. Dick joke. Insert dick joke here. The new building, the new Clinksdale building, was then home to a mercantile, a hardware store, and an upscale bordello, but not all at the same time. The bordello was owned by Madame Jenny Banters. Unfortunately, the relatively pleasant, clean, and private bordello was moved off Main Street. Mostly people. I'm sorry, I think you're laughing at my words.
It always happens. It always happens. Hannah's notes and side notes and her stuff is so
I just
fucking funny.
I smoke weed and type shit.
Yeah, tell them what we're
it's
laughing
really
at. Tell them what we're laughing at.
Okay.
Tell them where they moved, Hannah.
The clean private bordello was moved off Main Street and into crusty sex shops. When the townspeople decided that sex work was not something that nice people do, and Jenny Banters, formerly the madam at the Clinkscale, was tragically, brutally murdered in her sex shack.
Damn.
So that's
R.I.P.
the whiplash of that sentence.
Sex shack, baby, sex shack.
I really like her name though for some reason.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
Really nice.
It's like a perfect, that's a perfect madam name.
Right? Jenny was a friend of mine. Anybody else like the Killers? I like the Killers.
Jenny.
The bordello, now empty, was then turned into apartments, which basically goes to show that nothing ever changes and there are no more surprises left.
Yeah, like when in doubt, always goes to apartments.
Yep.
Fuck the landlords. Jerome, the town of Jerome then declined, as mining towns tend to when the mines dry up and close. However, in the 1970s, a bunch of hippie artists moved in and actually managed to create enough commerce through their art to revive Jerome.
Good for them.
Right?
When in doubt, hippies.
They
Woo-hoo.
used their powers for good.
They do.
But they revived the town. They turned it back into a place that people wanted to be, people wanted to visit. I was initially not going to mention this, but like I was going to talk about how it was two more like bar, hotel, inn type places. But honestly, I just kind of wanted to gas up the art hippies. When hippies use their powers for good, something good happens. But I imagine Jerome kind of as a place like New Hope out here in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
I brought that up. I was like, oh, Maggie's going to be here. We can talk about New Hope again if we need to. But we investigated. It was great. Getting back to the Clinkscale, it has a long and storied history with all sorts of comings and goings, and you can take that to mean whatever you want it to mean. It was a bordello. Regardless, now it has some ghosts.
The best part.
Yes. There's some general unattributed paranormal activity, such as like normal haunted hotel shit. Like you get cold spots, you get stuff like objects moving by themselves, such as glasses sliding across tables, blankets being pulled off beds, faucets and kitchen equipment turns on by itself. Sometimes there are disembodied bangs, whistling, and even singing. And in some of the rooms, there's an occasional unexplained whiff of roses or perfume. Give me a second, I will move my microphone.
At least it's a good whiff.
Right?
Yeah.
It could
Yeah, at
be
least
like
it's not death and decay like some of these other places.
death and toilet.
Like cat piss or something.
Cat piss.
You know?
That's like everywhere I was today.
Oh no.
Fuck. Unsurprisingly, the most active and well-known spirit inhabiting the Clinkscale is that of Madame Jenny Banters. She seems to most enjoy the lariat and lace room. And it seems that later residents have embraced the horny history of the building, calling rooms buck wild shit like the kiss and tell room and the pillow talk room.
Ooh.
I love it. I'm here for it.
They could have been a lot more dramatic with the names.
They could have.
Yeah.
They could have.
They're
But
nice.
it's like a little bit sweet, a little bit cutesy.
Yeah.
You know?
Do they have like a vibrating heart-shaped pen in there or something?
I hope they do.
Condom vending machine.
I
Vending
hope
machine.
they do.
One of those big ass like champagne glass or like flute things that they put the people
Uh-huh.
in and they can like bubble bath
yeah.
together or
Mirrors
whatever
on
the
the
fuck those
ceiling.
are
I was
called.
just going to
mirrors
say, a
on the
room of
ceiling.
mirrors.
Pink champagne ice. Yeah, so she hangs out in the Lariat and Lace room. Jenny has been known to rearrange furniture, play with the ceiling fan, and turn on the radio for hotel maids as they clean.
Oh, nice.
So she's, generally seen as like a positive, well-meaning ghost. The activity in the kitchen is also attributed to Jenny, with objects such as ice cream scoops and cookbooks being thrown about the room. If she doesn't like the way that it's cleaned, or if she doesn't like the food the way it's being prepared.
Don't piss off Jenny.
Don't do it. This seems to me like it would have been more likely for that to have been the spirit of Jenny's cat. The cat hangs around too. We've got another cat ghost.
Cool.
It's rumored that while operating the bordello, Jenny owned a pampered cat. The cat can still be felt rubbing against the ankles of the guests, who occasionally also hear it meowing at them.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's adorable. Jenny's cat is also encountered sleeping in a little round kitty donut on the hotel beds and leaving an indentation behind. It was also spotted by a terrified and possibly disgusted chef who actually saw the cat run out from under the grill. It then circled their feet once and ran away to disappear into thin air.
Cool.
So definitely a ghost and not just like a rogue cat under the stove. There's also the ghost of an older man who takes up residence in the upper floors of the hotel, and sometimes his hazy gray apparition can be spotted in turn-of-the-century work clothes and a felt hat standing by the window. Staff and guests hear laughter that they attribute to him, probably when they do something funny. I don't know. It didn't say what they do to make him laugh.
But he's hanging out, he's paying attention.
He's kicking it. Staff also reports that they turn away from freshly made beds only to find, to turn back and to find the indentation of a human body pressed into the sheets.
Very cool.
Yes. Lastly, there's another male ghost with a grumpier disposition. He haunts the lower floors and the kitchen. One waitress on the brunch shift heard heavy footsteps behind her and, thinking it was the cook, turned to see the hazy apparition of a man scowling at her, which then vanished as she screamed.
Relatable.
Wow.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah, I'd be pissing my pants. But yeah, that's the Clink Scale.
That's
the
pretty
Clink Scale
cool.
Hotel. Those are all my notes.
I've never heard of that place before, so that's pretty cool.
Me neither. But it's very well reviewed. I would definitely go. I'm pleased to hear a story about a business that's getting back to what we said on our one topic, where a business has embraced the paranormal and is thriving. And I'm glad to see that kind of story coming out of COVID, because I feel like all the
COVID destroyed
business stories are
businesses.
Trash.
Yeah.
But the Clink Scale's doing good, and they make a good brunch.
Good. Cool.
Yes.
I think all these places are doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Stanley Hotel's pretty luxurious. They have weddings there and stuff like that.
Oh, weddings, events. They have concerts. They had, I don't know if they do it yearly or they do it annually, but they had the Shining Ball.
Oh, that's
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, I need to go out there for that at some point.
That'd be really cool.
I feel like you could really do that up. Real nice.
I would do that up.
You could make the fucking paper, bro. I feel like you could do that up nice.
Yeah, but Stanley's definitely not going anywhere.
Oh, no.
Well, this has been an incredible episode. I honestly can't wait to, at some point, check into every single one of these hotels. We definitely want to have another Haunted Hotels episode. So for those of you listening, if there's other haunted hotels that you want to hear about, write in, let us know. Maybe there's one in your hometown that you want us to research and do. That'd be awesome. Don't forget to share around the podcast, send it to everybody, and please give us 5 stars wherever you're listening. We appreciate you all. We love you all.
We love you all.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that.
We're almost done with season 3. We have really exciting stuff coming for you for season 4. And
Per usual.
yeah, exactly.
We're just exciting. We're just so fucking fun.
Yeah, and I'm loving all the
best.
comments and stories that we're getting. I love that people feel like they're just a part of the group, because
Yeah.
that's kind of how we wanted it to feel, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to have this dark, dreary, sad tone podcast. We want it to be fun, but yet bring in the history and the paranormal stuff.
The chaotic paranormal
We
family.
could not be serious even if we fucking tried.
No.
Yeah.
We can't say serious for a whole episode. That's just not us.
Yeah, no. And Maggie, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. I know I'm going to have you back on again, and thank you so much for sharing your stories about the Stanley Hotel.
Oh, thank you for having me. Always glad to be here. I love listening to you guys on my commute down to Philadelphia. It's just like hanging out with my friends while I'm, being tortured on the turnpike in 76. So, I appreciate you guys and thank you very much for having me.
Of course, and I'm so happy that we could keep you company on your long commute. And good luck with everything with the PhD program.
Yes,
I mean,
best luck.
Thanks, I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
No.
well,
Got it in you. You can do it.
I
exactly.
believe in you.
Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. Stay spooky.
Always keep the bodies on ice.
Don't trip over the ghost cat.
And if you stay at any of these hotels, just remember, you can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave.
Hey.